Welcome to part 5 of my travel journal covering my Canadian train trip. And today we're going to go from Prince George to Prince Rupert. So that's the Via Rail station in Prince George. I found this pretty interesting because it's like the Inuit language. It's really complicated looking. So here we are on the Skeena. The night before, if you remember from the last from the last day, my dad and I compromised that we would continue on to Prince Rupert in economy class, and then the day afterwards we'd upgrade to touring for the return to Jasper. So here we are. We're departing Prince George Yard. So as you can see, there's going to be plenty of coal traffic, wood chip traffic, and container traffic, as well as some manifest stuff as well, grain and whatnot. So as we're departing, you'll see a pretty interesting set of Canadian National like GP9s with a slug unit. Slug unit is a cabless, engineless engine. It just has an additional electrical generator so that it can have more traction at lower speeds, such as in a yard. So you'll see that coming up in a little bit, and I'm just going to let this play, and you'll hear JF's, the train manager's announcements that he gives every morning on the train. So just take a listen, and I'll get back to you once there's something interesting to see.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I have your attention, please.
So I think I cut the announcement short a bit there, but I think that was all right. So a lot of the times I just filmed railroad crossings as we were going over them because we were pretty well shrouded by trees. We're still on the high plateaus of British Columbia. So this is just kind of the only part when it's not just completely, when you're not just completely in a green tunnel. So next time something interesting pops up, I'll chime in. So yeah, I should probably tell you my policy with filming was anything that wasn't completely shrouded by trees, I was gonna film. So you'll see fields and stuff, and sometimes it's a bit more successful than others. I guess such is the case now, where where through the trees, if you look closely, you can see. You can see. I don't think it's not the Fraser River. It's one of the other rivers that we go alongside on this trip. Um, we eventually get to the Skeena River, but that's a ways away. So these are just some logging equipment that we're passing right here, probably clearing off some trees along the side of the track. So I capture that because it's again not completely shrouded by trees. So yeah, just when anything interesting pops up, I'll let you all know about it. So coming up. So coming up in just a little bit, JF is going to make the announcement that we are entering Vanderhoof, British Columbia, which marks the geographical center of British Columbia. So that'll be coming up in a couple seconds. So take a listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, next up will be Vanderhoof. Coming up in 10 minutes, Vanderhoof has the distinction of being the geographical center of British Columbia. That's the equal distance between east, north, west, and south. Named after Rupert Vanderhoof, who was a Chicago publicist who were hired by the Canadian National and the Grand Trunk Pacific, there was railway company, to bring the farming community and bring settlers to the area. Again, this is Vanderhoof, geographical center of British Columbia. Those of you, two passengers getting off here, thank you for traveling with us. And again, have a safe journey. So 10 minutes to Vanderhoof, only passengers training at Vanderhoof at this time. For the rest of the passengers here, a little bit of history. Way back in 1867 is when we formed this Dominion of Canada. At the time we had British colonies and French colonies, and we had the Upper and Lower Canada. Decided to form their own country. In the West, all the settlement were invited to join the Confederation or the Dominion under the promise of putting a railway from coast to coast. British Columbia took about 4 years. They did join in 1871 in terms of completing the railway. The railway that was completed was in 1887. That was the Canadian Pacific Line, which is running closer to the 49th parallel. The second transcontinental run was this one that we're traveling on, created by the Grand Trunk Pacific under the directions of Mr. Charles Melville Hayes. It was finally completed in 1914. Coming up on mile 94 on this railway subdivision is the location of the last spike, when they completed this railway in April of 1914. Again, unfortunately, Mr. Charles Melville Hayes, there's a community in Saskatchewan named after Mr. Hayes called Melville. There's also a statue of Mr. Hayes in Prince Rupert. Unfortunately, he never saw the completion of the railway. He was one of our prominent Canadians that unfortunately perished in the sinking of the Titanic in 1912, a couple of years earlier. So again, they built this section, this railway by section, and again, at mile 94 here is where they joined the and finished the Grand Trunk Pacific Railway all the way to Prince Rupert, 1914, at mile 94. Also going to go through the community of Fraser Lake, and there's a big lake named after Mr. Fraser, which was an explorer. Simon Fraser, very popular name in Western Canada. There'll be a big lake there at mile 90 coming up. Again, in the meantime, this is Van der Hoof.
So here we are now. We're entering Van der Hoof, and we'll stop just alongside the sign that says Van der Hoof. And as you heard in the announcement, we'll be dropping off two passengers, and you may or may not notice them when we're pulling away, getting into their pickup. So yeah, just get a nice look at Van der Hoof, British Columbia, and get back to you once we're departing. So we are now departing Van der Hoof, as you can most likely see, and there are the two passengers we just dropped off. As you can see, they got their full backpacks and everything. Sort of like Dad and I, only they're more for camping and stuff, camping backpacks. They got their pickup there, getting picked up by their road connection, and here we are. We're heading out of Van der Hoof. So the next time something interesting pops up, I'll talk about it. Okay, so coming up now, we are coming up to Fraser Lake, and this is a very, very large and a very scenic lake. As you can probably guess by now, Fraser is a very popular name here in British Columbia. So, so you see the lake. It's a pretty nice, it's a pretty big lake. There's a little town that's up on the north end that will pass eventually, and so yeah, just enjoy Fraser Lake, and I'll get back to the recording once we get to the town. Okay, so we are now coming into the town of Fraser Lake, and I might be mistaken, but this town of Fraser Lake, I don't know if you'll be able to see it out the window or not, but it's home to the world's largest fishing rod, and the reason for that is it was Expo '86, I believe, and it was held in Vancouver. So the Canadian government hired artists to do like just really large versions of uniquely Canadian items, such as well, maybe not uniquely Canadian, but definitely items relating to Canada, such as skis, snowshoes, and for British Columbia, they got a fishing rod. So I don't think you can see here. I don't know if it's on display here, but you can see the world's largest fishing rod somewhere along this route. So yeah, I'll get back when there's anything interesting. Okay, so coming up now, this is like a interesting sort of. I don't think it's grain, but it has like covered hoppers and stuff. But this is a loading track to some industry that takes covered hoppers. I thought it was like wood chips and stuff, but the hoppers were covered. So, but yeah, here it is coming through. You'll get another shot of it. Well, I think the next shot's like a it's a lumber mill. And there's a good few of them along the route, lumber mills. So you'll see center beam flat cars getting loaded with lumber and stuff. So yeah, the lumber mill will be coming up in the next shot, and I'll get back when there's anything interesting again. So we are now passing through the town of Burns Lake, which is a pretty small town, as most of these towns along the line are. So we're not stopping here today, but we do make a stop on the way back to let off a single passenger. So that's coming from the future. But here we are passing through Burns Lake, and whenever the next interesting thing comes up, I'll chime in about it. So now we're going to be passing through the railroad town of Houston, British Columbia. Though we're not going to be stopping here again. So yeah, here we go. We're just going to pass through. This is one of the much more sort of developed towns, in my opinion. It's got a whole lot of like businesses and stuff, and there's some fast food chains here and whatnot. So here we are passing through Houston, British Columbia. Actually, my mistake. We are actually going to be stopping here in Houston, British Columbia. So I think let off a couple passengers. And here we are departing Houston. And yeah, as usual, the next time something interesting pops up, I will let you know about it.
Nicht bei mir beim Sandwich. Steht nur davor. Verschiedene Sorten heißt das. Was soll ich für ein Hemd oder was? Ja.
So here we are. We are entering into Smithers, British Columbia. This is the halfway point on our journey to Prince Rupert. And again, in the reality of traveling by via rail and dealing with freight trains, there's a freight train blocking the station. So we are going to pull through the yard out to the west end of Smithers, and we'll back into the station. So you get to see trains from how they look in the yard. And that's what we're passing right now is the train that we're going to be waiting on to get out of the way so we can make our stop at Smithers. So yeah.
The guilty party when we were sitting just outside of Smithers on the right.
Yeah, as JF said, that's the train that was blocking the station. So yeah, we'll be following him into the station as he's departing Smithers.
Moving eastbound, then we're gonna back into the station and do business that we need to be done. So again, this is Smithers coming up here. There's that freight train that once we will go through the yards, he will depart, then we will back into the station, and we'll pull onto the station at Smithers. Thank you.
And here we are now backing up into Smithers. The station at Smithers is a pretty neat old structure. It's got a Canadian National sort of maintenance house right alongside it. And I don't know if you get any good shots of it here, but definitely in the next in on the return trip, we got some real good shots of the station. So here we are. We're backing up into Smithers. So what you just saw back there in that brief little shot, it was what I could get of the station in Smithers through the window in the coach. So yeah, I'll get back when there's something interesting to see.
2 Tage. Verstopfung.
Bei den Greyhound-Bus hat er immer durchgezählt. Hat er gesagt, der nächste kommt ja 24 Stunden später. Ja, normalerweise 10
Aber der war super pünktlich, ne? Der eine kommt sogar eine Stunde zu früh.
Ja, genau. Die Erfahrung haben wir eigentlich auch gemacht. Eigentlich sind die immer relativ pünktlich oder überpünktlich, ne? Ja. Also eigentlich sind sie dann früher dran, aber scheinbar war das auch eingeplant hier.
Ja, also möchten so ein bisschen zu bespaßen, der Touristen.
Das ist ja lange her, Leute. Deswegen. Ja, wenn ich
Das ist halt nicht der längste, ne? Noch nicht, ist nicht die längste. Der längste Tag ist das heute noch nicht.
Sommernacht vielleicht.
Ja.
Langsam. Na gut, warte mal. Wie wird das heute?
24.
Juni.
23.
Juni, ja. Da sind wir auch schon rüber.
Nee,
heute ist das, ne? Heute Morgen.
Was haben wir
Der
denn
längste
heute?
Tag ist am 20. oder 21.
Nee,
Ja,
heute.
der bleibt auch ein paar Tage.
Ich weiß nicht. Auf jeden Fall Sommeranfang. Heute ist Sommeranfang.
Kriegen wir noch Mitternachtssonne mit. Auf jeden Fall.
Aber ich kann googeln.
Wir sind ziemlich weit oben im Norden. Man hat es gemerkt, ne? Wir waren abends auch in Jasper essen, also da denkst du ja, wird es auch dunkel. Ja? Mir kam es vor, wir haben wie halb 10, da war es schon Viertel vor 11. Ja. Wir waren vor 4 Jahren in Norwegen, hinter dem Polarkreis.
Ja, war halb
Da
2
wir
eigentlich.
hinter links runter, so bis Narvik sind wir hoch. Da bleibt Zell, ne? Boah, ist sehr geil, ja. Einmalig. 1 Uhr nachts. Woher? Aber du erlebst dann... so ein Untergang, 1:20 Uhr wieder aufgekommen. Ja.
Wann war das?
Ist er am 24.
24 hatte ich doch.
Also hier steht in Klammern Deutschland, aber
Aber na gut,
ist das wahrscheinlich
ist
sogar
das
noch
die
anders.
Johannisnacht
Das ist
oder so
Mitsommernacht.
ähnlich.
Mhm.
Ja. Weil Schweden und Norwegen, das ist klasse, echt. Also die Leute, die hier wohnen, die müssen den negativen Teil auch mitnehmen, ne? Die andere Hälfte ist dann fast nur dunkel.
Ja, das möchte ich nicht.
Deswegen schmeißen sich hier so viele von uns um. Ja, ja. Die Winter möchte ich dann nicht mehr machen. Ja, ich auch nicht.
So, as you just heard JF say right there, we're going to be entering the Buckley Canyon, I think it is. So we're going to be passing through, I think it was about 3 trestles and a couple high, 3 tunnels and a couple high trestle bridges. So, plus we'll get some pretty nice sweeping views. I primarily just sort of filmed us going through the tunnels and everything, so yeah, you'll get a nice look at that. So yeah, enjoy the Buckley Canyon. So here we are. We're in Hazleton. There's a Canadian National coal train passing us on the other track, and we're picking up a group of passengers, a family of passengers, and the kids actually, yeah, it was a couple families, and the kids of one of the families proved to actually be quite annoying. So you'll probably be able to hear them a little bit later on. But yeah, they got pretty annoying, so I wound up eventually just moving to the next car down, because it was getting too much to deal with, and it wouldn't make for good shots with the camera either. Alright, so we are now coming up on one of the highlights of the trip right here. This is a very tall bridge, very long bridge that crosses the Skeena River. So you'll get a nice look at it, and you can start to hear in the back. You can start to hear the kids getting pretty annoying. So yeah, here you go. You can see the Skeena River down there, crossing over the bridge. And yeah, it's a pretty neat view, pretty incredible structure right there. So yeah, there's the Skeena Bridge, and next time something interesting comes up, I'll let you know. So this here is an old, I'm pretty sure, yeah, like an old abandoned industry, but I still found it quite interesting. So I just took a picture. So I took some pictures of it anyways. Took some video, and I guess the one thing that kind of stuck out to me, there's an old rusted out BC Rail caboose that's just kind of alongside. Yeah, there it is right there. So I just thought that was kind of neat, being because I like the train equipment and stuff. So yeah, just this old industry that we passed by, and once something else interesting comes up, I will inform you about it. Oh, I think this is I can't remember the name of this town, but it's one of the really isolated communities that has a general store and a few houses, and that's it. So, but yeah, next time something interesting comes up, I'll talk about it. So here we are. This is our arrival into Terrace, British Columbia. We've been following the Skeena River. However, you can't. However, I'm on the wrong side of the train to see it. So, however, you will see us entering into Terrace, which, in my opinion, has the quaintest station on the entire Via Rail network. It's just like a little house. So you'll see it coming up in a couple minutes, and that'll be our stop at Terrace. It might not be in this shot, but you'll definitely see it in the next one where it's us departing. So yeah, here's Terrace, British Columbia.
Die heeft allemaal hele kleine huisjes. Ja, ik heb het gezien. Ik liep even door.
Oh, right. Come off the train. Come off the train. Oh. The hotel. Otherwise there's going to be a arrangements about late arrivals or... Oh, right. In the queue. I don't know, we booked it off from this morning.
Oh, hello. It's Paul Walsh speaking. I'm a guest there tonight. And I'm arriving. I'm still on the train, which is delayed. We're just leaving Terrace. So the conductor or the man you said it'll be 11 at the earliest, and it'll be 11:30. So I'll just get a taxi from the train station. But are you still up then, or what's the situation? Might have been a motel. Okay, oh well, I should be there. Okay, thank you, I'll see you then. Bye.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that was clearly a Terrace. You might have seen a few recreational fishermen on the banks of the Skeena River there. way back in the early 2000s, there was a German tourist that caught a whopping 99-pound salmon. That was a world record. We're now traveling on the last, fourth and last railway subdivision. This one is called the Skeena. Skeena Railway Subdivision starts here at Terrace at mile 0. It'll take us all the way to our final destination of Prince Rupert, located on Cayen Island, or little island of the Pacific, at mile 93. So 93 miles. As we depart here, other than Terrace, we're going to be totally isolated with nature, following the banks of the Skeena River. So again, look for tall snowy peaks, waterfalls, and as we reach the coastal mountains, look for eagles and bears and deers. So again, starting our fourth and final railway subdivision, 93 miles, all the mileposts have reset here at 0. That'll take us to our final destination of Prince Rupert. And approximately 2.5 hours there. So again, it is 9:10. We're looking at 11:30, anywhere between 11:30 and midnight tonight. And keep you updated there as throughout the evening. Thank you.
Alright, so that was JF's announcement and our departure from Terrace. So now we're just following the highway that leads into Prince Rupert. And I decided to get some shots of the highway because apparently there's like a serial killer or something that lurks this stretch of road, and he's and like, you know, like 20 or so like young women have gone missing like over 15 years. So, you know, kind of spooky stuff tends to happen out here. So just thought I'd capture that to let you all know what that is, you know, just going on there. I didn't get a whole lot of footage after this because all the views were on the other side of the train. And I was really too lazy to go get another seat. So plus it was starting to get dark, even though this was the summer solstice. We got into Prince Rupert around midnight because of all the delays along the way. So yeah, just enjoyed the scenery, enjoy the shots I took, and once we get to Rupert, I'll finish this out. So yeah, this was the last shot I took before we got to Rupert. And here we are at Prince Rupert. As you can see, it's gotten quite a bit darker out. There's a locomotive. And because none of the taxis showed up at the station yet, and we wanted some exercise, my dad and I decided to walk the 2 miles or so to the hotel. So here we are, just walking along the main road in the middle of the night. So here we go, join us in part 6, I think. Yeah, part 6. So see you then.
No more. Huge.